God bursts into the scene in Genesis chapter 1 with light and with creative potential. This creative potential would create the sun, the moon, and the stars, and everything we know and love. And then out of that poetic imagery, God breathes his ruah, his breath, into this dirt, this Adama. And out of this Adama, he forms like a living masterwork, this guy named Adam. And Adam becomes the first man. And this creative, poetic imagery flows throughout the narrative of Scripture. In fact, 40% of the Old Testament is made out of poetry. Flip forward to Ephesians chapter 2, and God says that you are his masterpiece. Now, if we look up this word in the Greek, this word means you are his poema. And if we look at the etymology of this word, it means that you are God's living poetry, church. And I think so often we have been hijacked by this notion that the most creative thing that we could possibly do is listen to Christian radio. No, I'm not knocking Christian radio, but I think, church, that we can do a little bit better than that. I was having a conversation today with two high schoolers in our youth group, and they were sharing with me, like, I asked them this question: what does it mean to submit to God? And they said, basically, you just follow the rules. You don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't party. That's what it means to submit to God. And I was just like, God is lame. Are you serious? That's what it means to submit to God? I mean, sure, those things are great, but submission to God, this ultimate creative force in the universe, must mean something far greater than just a list of do's and don'ts. It must be something far greater than that. If this God that created the universe out of poetry is alive in us. A few years ago, I was traveling in France, and I got to see something that forever changed my life. There was a big white room, and in this white room there was a tiny little picture. Now, I had never dreamed that I would be able to see this picture before. I walked up to the picture, I walked up and I saw it. As the crowds gathered around it, I inched my way forward and I saw like a little bit, and I saw a little bit more. And then in about a picture this size, I saw this thing called the Mona Lisa, that we've all heard about, that we all know and love. And at first I was like, are you kidding me? That's it? This is so small. And then as I studied the intricacies of this painting, I noticed how distinct and unimaginably beautiful it was. And I read this book this week called Artisan Soul by Erwin McManus, and it focused on one question. On the canvas of your life, what masterpiece will you create? See, I love my wife. My wife works as a counselor, and she is able to create beauty out of chaotic marriages, beauty out of people with substance abuse, beauty out of people that's their lives are just falling apart. I love my job because I get to paint a new world for people, for youth students that don't know what love and what true intimacy with God looks like. I know that we have a creative God that wants to create something beautiful in our life. And I would hate for us to be limited by the canvas that we have been given. See, many of us are so consumed by our limitations and so consumed by what we don't have that we don't reach our full potential, and we don't reach out to what we could be. See, the Mona Lisa is a picture this big, and yet it captivates the world. You might say, I can't create because I have this illness. I can't create because I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. But that's baloney, because the creative God that created the universe is at work creating in you, and he wants to do something amazing in your life. With this canvas that you have been given, what creative act will you accomplish?